Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Have a good day, everyone. Thank you for visiting my video channel in YouTube website. For this occasion, I'm going to explain to you about English essay writing in the form of an introduction. In this video, I will also explain to you about 5 genres in English essay writing. The genres are descriptive, argumentative, narrative, cause effect, and comparison contrast. It's not going to be that long, but if you have questions or feedback about anything that I explained to you in this video, you can write your questions or feedback in the comment section below. For your time, I appreciate that, and I hope that you can get benefits and learning about English essay writing through this video. Besides, I created this video for Indonesian EFL students, wherever they are. Alright? Have a good time listening to this video. The content of this video is divided into 3 sections. The first one is definition of essay writing. The second one is genre and examples of essay writing. And the last section is about essay writing scoring rubrics. Part of the explanation in this video is taken from my book. The title of the book is Writing 2: Composing Genre-Based Essay in Academic English. I wrote it in 2017, and this book was published by Zukabina Press. This press is located in Padang City, West Sumatra, in Indonesia. This book is available only by purchasing directly to the writer. So you can send me your email or you can inbox me through this YouTube channel. Then if you need, you can purchase it, and I'm going to send you the book directly to you in the form of PDF or handout. Thank you. Definition of essay writing. I took it from Zemach and Rumisek, page 56. They define that an essay is a group of related sentences written about a single topic and a central main idea. It must have at least 3 paragraphs, but a 5-paragraph essay is a common length for academic writing. By this definition, we can see that an essay has at least 3 paragraphs, but you can also write a 5-paragraph essay. How if you write an essay that has more than 5 paragraphs? Will that be a mistake? Basically, it's alright if you write more than 5-paragraph essay. But if you write a 5-paragraph essay, your essay will sound more academic. The bold words, like you see in the display, a single topic and a central main idea. It means that your essay will only have one thing to describe or one thing to explain, and that thing is a topic. So there should be no more than one topic. For example, I would like to write about an animal. The animal should be lion. So when I want to write an essay, I will only talk about lion. I'm not going to talk about the other animal except lion. If I add another animal like a cat or a chameleon or a tiger, then my essay will have more than one topic. So it will not make my essay academic. Therefore, the very first concept of essay writing is that you write your sentences which are related to one another, but they stand on one topic only. How about the layout of the essay writing? As you can see on the picture, on the left side, that is a paragraph. You can see there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 parts of the paragraph. A paragraph has a title. The first sentence of a paragraph is called as a topic sentence, and that topic sentence should be supported with supporting sentences for about 1, 2, or 3 supporting sentences. The last sentence in the paragraph is known as concluding statement. Now we see on the right side, you see the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 arrows from the left to the right. Topic sentence in the paragraph is expanded to be introductory paragraph with thesis statement, and that is the first part of the essay writing under the title. Meanwhile, supporting sentences in the paragraph, starting from sentence 1 up to 3, becomes the body of the paragraph. Sentence 1 becomes supporting paragraph 2. Sentence 2 become the second supporting paragraph. Sentence 3 become the third supporting paragraph. So the first paragraph of the body, second paragraph of the body, and the third paragraph of the body support the existence of the introductory paragraph. The function of each of the supporting paragraphs explained the thesis statement. Meanwhile, the concluding statement becomes concluding paragraph. Concluding paragraph is the fifth paragraph of the body. So now you can see that an essay writing has at least 5 paragraphs. The first paragraph is introductory paragraph, and then followed by 3 supporting paragraphs, and the last one is concluding paragraph. The thesis statement is the most important part of the essay writing, and it should be written in the introductory paragraph, and the last section of the essay is known as concluding paragraph. Without conclusion, your essay will not be academic. Everything should be properly written so that your essay can stand correctly and be understood in a scholarly fashion. How about the elements of an academic essay? An academic essay contains 4 sections. The first one is an introductory paragraph. The function of an introductory paragraph is to create initial interest in what you have to say to the reader. The second element is known as a thesis statement. It expresses the main idea of the essay completely and concisely. After that, a thesis statement is followed by body paragraphs, each of which develops the angle expressed in your thesis statement using transition words and phrases. And the last element of an academic essay is known as a concluding paragraph. The function of concluding paragraph is to summarize your main points and gives the reader a feeling of completion. Taken from Blass and Pike-Becky 13. So each of these elements need to be located properly in the essay. An introductory paragraph is written in the first part of the essay. A thesis statement is located in the last sentence of the introductory paragraph. Body paragraphs are written after the introductory paragraph. And the last concluding paragraph is written as the last paragraph of your essay. An introductory paragraph and concluding paragraph are basically connected each other in the way that concluding paragraph summarizes the main points and it signals the reader that your essay ends. According to Boardman and Friedenberg, page 68, the thesis statement is the most important sentence in your essay. It is the main idea for the whole essay, and it frequently shows directly and indirectly the number and the content of the body paragraphs of the essay. Clear thesis statements are essential for good essay writing in English. So, without writing thesis statement, your essay will not have a clear idea. A thesis statement is the soul of the essay itself, because it shows directly or indirectly the length of your essay and then what you're going to explain throughout your essay before you conclude it. After knowing the concept of thesis statement, now we begin to listen to 5 genres of essay writing: descriptive, argumentative, narrative, cause effect, and comparison contrast. The thesis statement is available in each of these genres, but they have different forms. Now, let me explain to you further in the next slides. The first genre of the essay is descriptive. According to Krisner and Mandel, page 73, on their book, they wrote that a descriptive essay communicates to readers how something looks, sounds, smells, tastes, or feels. Descriptive plays an important role in college writing. For example, technical reports, lab reports, case studies, and field notes all depend upon precise description. As the first genre of the essay writing, descriptive is very useful for academic writing. Meanwhile, Hyland on page 128 mentioned that description gives sense impression, the feel, sound, taste, smell, and look of things. Emotion may be described too, feelings such as happiness, fear, loneliness, gloom, and joy. Description helps the reader through his or her imagination to visualize a scene or a person, or to understand a sensation or an emotion. Hyland defines description in such a more detailed explanation. Now, but the key words that you can find in this definition of descriptive essay are the word of look, sound, smell, taste, or feels. These verbs are the expression of human 5 senses. You can see things, you can hear things, you can feel, and then you can smell, you can taste it. So you can use your 5 senses when you write descriptive essay. Example of descriptive essay. Now let me read you the example of a descriptive essay. The title of this essay is Description of a Desert. It is difficult to form a correct idea of a desert without having seen one. It is a vast plain of sands and stones, interspersed with mountains of various sizes and heights, usually without roads or shelters. They sometimes have springs of water which burst forth and create verdant spots. The most remarkable of deserts is the Sahara. This is a vast plain, but a little elevated above the level of the ocean and covered with sand and gravel, with a mixture of seashells, and appears like the basin of an evaporated sea. Amid the desert, there are springs of water which burst forth and create verdant spots called oases. There are 32 of these that contain fountains and date and palm trees. 20 of them are inhabited. They serve as stopping places for the caravans and often contain villages. Were it not for this, no human being could cross this waste of burning sand. So violent sometimes is the burning wind. So violent sometimes is the burning wind that the scorching heat dries up the water of these springs, and then frequently the most disastrous consequences follow. In 1805, a caravan consisting of 2,000 persons and 1,800 camels, not finding water at the usual resting place, died of thirst, both men and animals. Storms of wind are more terrible in this desert than on the ocean. Vast surges and clouds of red sand are raised and rolled forward, burying everything in its way, and it is said that whole tribes have thus been swallowed up. The situation of such is dreadful and admits of no resource. Many perish, victims of the most horrible thirst. It is then that the value of a cup of water is truly felt. To be thirsty in a desert without water, exposed to the burning sun, without shelter, is the most terrible situation that a human being can be placed in, and one of the greatest sufferings that a human being can sustain. The tongue and lips swell, a hollow sound is heard in the ears, which brings on deafness, and the brain appears to grow thick and inflamed. If unfortunately anyone falls sick on the road, he or she must either endure the fatigue of traveling on a camel, which is troublesome even to healthy people, or he or she must be left behind on the sand without any assistance and remain so until a slow death comes to relieve him or her. After you listen to this essay, now you can see that this essay is completely talking about description of a desert, and you can hear the use of the word sands, stones, springs of water, and then the level of the ocean, and then a word like oasis. Many people died during that time, 2,000 persons and 1,800 camels. That is completely supporting the essay. The next genre of English academic essay is argumentative. Saylor, in his book page 101, mentioned that an argument consists of evidence or reasons presented in support of an assertion or claim that is either stated or implied. Meanwhile, Deutsch, on his book, page 60, stated that accuracy in an argumentative essay means that the writer is able to distinguish between facts from opinion. Saylor and Deitch might have similar opinion about argumentative. However, Saylor used the word evidence or reasons, and then he strongly stated the word an assertion or claim. Argumentative essay might have stated or implied claim then, but such claim or assertion needs to be supported with relevant evidence or reasons. The different thing between Saylor and Deitch is that the use of the word facts and opinion. We cannot use facts in the thesis statement because facts do not need further support to explain. Meanwhile, if you start your argumentative essay by writing your opinion, then your argumentative writing will sound more academic and it is more personalized. Such opinion is the same with claim or assertion. So your opinion is the one that needs to be supported with facts that are written and composed in the supporting paragraphs. Example of an argumentative essay. This example is written by Bogazici University, SFL, but I use it as an example for you. Now, as you can see in this video, that the first sentence of the example is throw out the bottles and boxes of drugs in your house. This sentence is thesis statement in the form of opinion. This author wrote throw out the bottles and boxes of drugs in your house because this author would like to inform and argue to us that it is important to throw out the bottles and boxes. Now let me read you throughout the essay so that you can see where does the author frame his or her argument about health and healing at your fingertips. Throw out the bottles and boxes of drugs in your house. A new theory suggests that medicine could be bad for your health, which should at least come as good news to people who cannot afford to buy expensive medicine. However, it is a blow to the medicine industry and an even bigger blow to our confidence in the process of science. This new theory argues that healing is at our fingertips. We can be healthy by doing Reiki on a regular basis. Supporters of medical treatment argue that medicine should be trusted since it is effective and scientifically proven. They say that there is no need for spiritual methods such as Reiki, yoga, Tai Chi. This wastes our time, something which is quite precious in our material world. There is medicine that can kill our pain, X-rays that show us our fractured bones or MRI that scans our brain for tumors. We must admit that these methods are very effective in the examples that they provide. However, there are some everyday complaints such as back pains, headaches, insomnia which are treated currently with medicines. When you have a headache, you take an aspirin or Vermidon. When you cannot sleep, you take Xanax without thinking of the side effects of these. When you use these pills for a long period, you become addicted to them. You cannot sleep without them. We pay huge amounts of money and become addicted instead of getting better. How about a safer and more economical way of healing? When doing Reiki to yourself, you do not need anything except your energy, so it is very economical. As for its history, it was discovered in Japan in the early 1900s, and its popularity has spread particularly throughout America and Western Europe. In quantum physics, energy is recognized as the fundamental substance of which the universe is composed. Reiki depends on the energy within our bodies. It is a simple and effective way of restoring the energy flow. There are no side effects and it is scientifically explained. The next genre of essay writing is narrative. Narration is the form of writing used to relate the story of acts or events. Narration places occurrences in time and tells what happened according to natural time sequence. According to Vision and Burks, page 378. When you write the narrative essay writing, you can use two types of point of view. Deitch on page 136 mentioned that we can use first-person narration, which is I, and we can also use third-person narration, which is he, she, or they. How about writing a narrative? Now let's see the pattern of narrative. Narrative is started with motivation, followed by complication, and then it comes to the rising action, to the climax of the story, and then it ends in the outcome. Basically, the pattern of narrative is that it is up from motivation to the climax, but then at the end it should reach the conclusion. Now let me read you an example of narrative essay. The title of the essay is Those Three Words. It was late in the night when I woke up from my bed. I looked out from a window and saw the street in front of my house. There was that kid again. He was standing like a small creature, freezing like an ice, and sometimes walking back and forth like someone who was in a confused mind. Unlike the other nights, I went out from my house and got close into where the kid stood. When I was quite close with him in distance, I saw a boy with that cold face. His body was not so big, but I could see the way he looked at me. Those eyes! I knew those eyes. "Hi, kid. What are you doing around here? It's late at night," I said. He didn't say anything. What he did was just walking back and forth without saying anything. "I saw you every night in front of my house since last week. Well, if you have anything to eat or something, you can come to my house." I offered him food, for I could see how his body was trembling by the snow, and the way his hands touched his stomach showed how hungry he was. The weather outside was very bad. I even felt that my body was going to be trembling too, so I got back to my house. When I wanted to open the door of my house, that kid touched my coat. He said something that was barely difficult to hear, but I let him in. In that house I stayed lonely. I was still a young person there, at least not very young. Now there was a kid in my house. At that time I felt that the night was going to be longer than I expected, but in fact it wasn't. I gave him a glass of hot chocolate and a French bread that I made by my own hand. I looked at that kid while he was eating those foods. He was so hungry. So what I did was the right thing, I thought. Usually, if the time was at 2 o'clock, I would probably be sleeping in that full of rose bed. My husband was still there, sleeping. This night I felt a little bit different. It was because of the kid. Days and days passed, but my husband never knew that the kid and I were always living in the kitchen, even until 3 or 4 in the morning. We ate foods, and sometimes I told him a story of the fairy tales. Once my husband was awake and he said, "Laura, I hear you talk with someone. Who is that?" I never cared for what my husband said. He kept saying that he couldn't see the kid, and kept saying that the kid was there with me. I thought that the kid was afraid of seeing my husband. In one night, he never showed up again. That kid was like missing or going somewhere I didn't know. That happened since my pregnancy. I always missed that kid. He had come to my house and had dinner with me together almost for a month. Again, for this one, my husband didn't know that. Until I had to bear a baby, I was totally amazed for what I could see in the face of my baby. He was a miracle. My baby grew up as a boy. His face was exactly the same as the face of the boy who had come to my house in that wonderful night. He said, "Thank you, Mom." He always said the 3 words. Every time he wanted to sleep, he said that words again. I asked him for why he said that words again and again every night before he went to the bed. My boy said, "You were always there when I needed you." There was only a guessing in my mind, and I don't know why he said that. I felt happy for what my boy said, but things were different when I tried to think of it. A 5-year-old boy would never say that unless he was told to do so. I wondered about a weird thing, so I took a walk around the street of my house. Suddenly, after I passed 5 corners of the street, I saw a picture sticked into a wall of a house and something written down on it. Gilbert, 5 years old, was found dead in the street because of accident. I was crying. My mind brought me back to that boy, and I never realized how weird this life was. The next genre is cause-effect. Cause and effect essays explore causes or predict or describe results. Sometimes a single cause and effect essay does both. Krishna and Mendel, page 82. McMahon and Funk, page 43. stated that when you develop a piece of writing by analyzing causes, you are explaining to your readers why something happened. If you go on to explore the effects, you are analyzing what happened, the consequences. So the word cause means that you explain why something happened. Meanwhile, when you want to explain about the effect, then you're going to explain about what happened or the consequences of why something happened. How about the example of a cause-effect essay? The title of this example is TV as a Culprit. I do not write this essay, but I took this essay from one of the book in the references list of this video. Now let me read you the essay. TV as a culprit. Our minds are rotting away and we might not know it. This is due to a destructive invention, a culprit known as television. Though television has kept families in their homes with countless hours of entertainment, it has also ended up destroying family ritual, affecting academic performance, and promoting sex and violence. One effect of television in our current time is the destruction of family ritual. Once upon a time, so we have been told, families talked with each other. They actually gathered together and shared ideas, interests, and experiences. Since television, this apparently does not occur in most families. Family meals have taken a definite downward toll since the rise of television. At one time, families would actually gather around the table for a meal and some family discussion. This was the place and time that families would work out of a lot of problems related to school, sports, work, and relation with the opposite sex. Television has changed this, however, with the family members all staring at the tube rather than looking at each other and listening to television programs rather than talking. No longer is there the shared mealtime ritual of the family. In addition, or possibly as a result of the breakdown of the family ritual, television has also affected the schoolwork and performance of children and teenagers. Statistics released recently reveal that many more elementary, junior high, and high school students watch television than many 20 years ago, and that these children and teens are watching for more extended periods of time than ever before. The results are discouraging to teachers, parents, and school officials. Studies show that those students who watch 10 or more than 10 or more hours of television per week, an increasing number, receive lower grades than their counterparts who do not watch television. Finally, television actually promotes sex and violence. Programs that contain sex and violence may impress upon a child the wrong messages, whereas an adult may know how to distinguish between what is proper and what is not. In a long-term study on the effect of television on young viewers conducted by Stanford University, participants watched certain programs and were then themselves watched through one-way mirrors. The youngsters acted out more violently, hitting, throwing, and abusing their toys more frequently after watching such programs. In addition, the carefree and casual use of sex on television has influenced many viewers to want to engage in sex without acknowledging any of the dangers of unsafe sex. Young viewers in both instances do as TV does, and then they find that actions that work in television world have different results in the real world. At the risk of becoming social outcasts for criticizing this accepted American phenomenon, we must start to limit the use of television before this culprit brings about even more destruction to our families, our children, and our way of life. The last type of essay genre is comparison contrast. Krishner and Mendel, page 86, stated that comparison and contrast essays explain how two subjects are alike or different. Sometimes a single comparison and contrast essay examines both similarities and differences. Meanwhile, Keynes on page 114 stated that comparison treats two subjects of the same nature, as does contrast, but the former shows how the subjects are alike, while the latter focuses on how they differ. So the keywords in comparison contrast essay are the word similarities, that stands for comparison, and differences, that stand for contrast. So when you talk about similarities of two things, then you are writing comparison essay. But if you focus on writing about differences of two subjects or two items or even two things, then you are going to write about a contrast essay. Also remember, McMahon and Fung on page 41 stated that pitfalls of comparison and contrast writing are two. First, do not use too many transitional words. 2. Do not apologize in your conclusion. If you want to know more about transitional words, you can go ahead look up to my book. And if you would like to know more about how to avoid being apologetic in your conclusion, then you can also browse in Google or you can read in my book. The Getty and the Met is the example of a comparison contrast essay. Now let us read together the example of this essay about the comparison or contrast of the Getty and the Met. What are the Getty and the Met actually? Now let me read this essay for you. There are countless art museums in the United States. Some are small and consist of a single room, and others cover city blocks. Two of them, the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York and the J. Paul Getty Museum in Los Angeles, are visited every day by tourists as well as locals. While these two museums have similarities because they are both places that exhibit art, I believe their differences are more striking than their similarities. Both the Met, as the Metropolitan Museum of Art is known, and the Getty have amazing collection of art. The art spans many centuries from antiquity to modern times. They are both enormously popular. The Met has thousands of visitors every day. Likewise, the Getty is so popular that there is often a waiting list just to get in. Both have been used as a movie location, and the citizens of New York and Los Angeles are proud of their famous. However, in three distinct ways, the Met and the Getty are almost opposites. First of all, their architecture is very different. The architectural style of the Met is classical, ornate, and symmetrical. The Getty, in contrast, is modern, plain, and asymmetrical. They also vary a lot in age. The construction of the Met was begun in 1880 and completed in 1902, and it is now well over 100 years old. The Getty, on the other hand, was just completed in 1997. Finally, the relationship between the buildings and the art inside is quite different in the two museums. While the architecture of the Met is impressive, the real treasure of the museum lies inside its walls, in its fantastic collection. The Getty, in contrast, was designed and constructed as an impressive organization of walls and spaces. In fact, I believe that more people spend time outside enjoying the gardens, trees, and the exterior atmosphere of the Getty than ever go inside. In conclusion, these two museums do have several similarities, but I feel strongly that their differences outnumber the ways in which they are similar. In their architecture, their location, and their relationship to the art they display, the two museums are worlds apart. In my previous explanation, I have shared with you the definition and concept of the 5 genres in academic English essay writing. The genres are descriptive, argumentative, narrative, cause-effect, and comparison contrast. How about the use of scoring rubrics? In what way I'm going to assess your writing? Now, this assessment rubrics is derived from the book of Sarah Cushing-Weigel, and this rubric was basically framed by Jacobson, but I expanded into my own style. So now you see assessment rubrics of English essay writing. The first part of this assessment is your identity, student's name, registration number, study program, date of assessment, and lecturer. Now you see beneath the identity section, you see there are 5 items that need to be assessed: content or ideas, organization, grammar or structure, word choice or word form, and mechanics. For the content or ideas, the highest score is 25. That goes to exceptional. And if you want to be very good, it should be 22. On average, it should be 19, and the rest would be needs work. The same thing with organization and grammar or structure. Each of these has 25 as the high score. Very different from word choice of word form and mechanics. Word choice or word form only has 15 as its highest score, and mechanics would be 10 as the highest score. So if you would like to have a high score in your essay, you need to be high in each of these 5 items. Based on my experience, most Indonesian EFL students not quite, but a bit rare to reach this highest point. But then they tried. Now that's one thing I need to appreciate, rather than they have high score but the writing is not theirs. But if the writing is theirs but content is only received very good, organization is very good, grammar structure may be average, word choice or word form is very good, and mechanics very good, then that would be better then. Then they're writing but the writing is not theirs. Do you agree with that? Alright. Now we are approaching the end of this video, so I hope that you can get benefits and advantage of my explanation about the English essay writing. So if you have questions or feedback, please write down in the comment section below, and I'm going to answer to your question feedback in my spare time. Alright, until then, see you next time and have a good time. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.